As the president continues to court Capitol Hill this week, will he be able to convince enough Republicans to work with him on a budget deal? Joining me now is another guest at Friday's lunch with Budget Chair Paul Ryan. He's Maryland Congressman Chris Van Hollen. He's the top Democrat on the House Budget Committee. He joins me now. Congressman Hollen, good morning to you.
Good morning, Chuck.
So, first, take me inside the lunch. Is it just the three of you?
It was just the three of us.
Nobody else from the White House was there?
No, it was just the three of us. I thought it was a very good conversation, healthy food and healthy conversation. And this was not designed to be a negotiation.
Right.
It was designed to be sort of a free exchange of ideas, and I think it accomplished that.
Was it clear, if you were the mediator here, say, if you were playing the mediator between Paul Ryan and President Obama, was it clear where there is room to negotiate and where there isn't? During the lunch?
I think it's too early to say that. I think that would be premature. I think what this is a part of an ongoing effort to further open the lines of communication. The president, of course, had been in regular contact with Speaker Boehner. Speaker Boehner, of course, then said he didn't want to be meeting one-on-one with the president. So the president's reaching out to more folks, Republicans and others.
Did Paul Ryan have any asks of the president?
I can't get into the details of the conversation, Chuck, but what I can say is I think Paul Ryan wanted to lay out what he saw as the political context and the policy views of the Republicans. And the president, of course, expressed his views. And the House Democrats, we've always had our budget, and we will have a budget as well.
Let's talk about
So there was a conversation about the need to bridge the differences, but it's too early to say that there's a clear path to doing that.
Let's talk about what we're going to see this week. So we're going to have Paul Ryan unveil his budget this week. Senate Democrats are going to do theirs. When do you unveil yours?
We will the following week. So we will, a week from this Wednesday, we will have a Democratic alternative.
Will there be a lot of differences between what you do and the Senate Democrats do?
I don't expect there to be lots of differences. There could be some.
But nothing that would sit there and say, whoa, look at this divide between Senate Democrats and House Democrats?
No. We've been in conversations with the Senate Democrats. Of course, they're putting together the votes among the Senate Budget Committee, and we will be doing that in our House Democratic Caucus. But I think they'll be close on the same page.
How should, let's cut through a little bit of the BS on how budgets are drawn up. They're political documents, okay? And as you were stating before, you lay out your principles if you were in charge of the world. So Paul Ryan, that's why there's repeal Obamacare in there, which we know has no chance of happening. Are there going to be similar parts of the Senate Democratic and House Democratic budgets of things in there that have no chance of becoming law, but you put them in there anyway?
These are things that we think do have a chance of becoming law. The difference between the House Republican budget and the budgets that we would be presenting is we'll all take a balanced approach, meaning we will call for additional cuts, although in a targeted way, but we also think we should raise more revenue by closing these tax loopholes. And the big difference is Republicans continue to take the position that they won't close one special interest tax break, not one, for the purpose of reducing the deficit. And we think we should.
They are open to closing some of these loopholes. They just say only if you lower tax rates.
Right. Only if every dollar from a loophole closure goes into providing tax breaks somewhere else, which is very different than what the bipartisan commissions called for. Simpson-Bowles had tax reform. It did lower the rates, but it also generated lots of additional revenue to lower the deficit. And so that's the approach that we take. We want to close these tax breaks to help reduce the deficit in combination with additional targeted cuts.
When does the real work start? So everybody unveils their budget proposals. They pass their frameworks, but then what happens?
Well, then you're going to have a House Republican budget and a Democratic budget, and then is when you start to try and bridge those differences, whether that takes the
Does that start in your committee first, before the conference committee? Does that actually start where you mark up in your committee?
No, that will begin. We will have a markup this Wednesday in the House Budget Committee, and we will offer our amendments to the House Republican budget.
Do you expect any of them to pass?
Well, we always hope some will pass. I mean, but last year we had an amendment, for example, saying we should take a balanced approach, meaning a mix of cuts and revenues, and Republicans rejected the idea of balance at that time. Maybe they'll change their perspective. We also believe their tax reform approach, which we think is going to try and drive the top rate all the way down to 25%, will have the effect of providing tax breaks for folks at the top at the expense of middle-income taxpayers. So we're going to have that healthy debate, Chuck. But to get to your point, we're going to then have two different budgets, and then the work begins to try and bridge those differences. That work is going to be just as tough as it has However, it will be in the context of the regular order. And the White House will be playing a role, I believe, in that process as well. So we have a window of time between now and, I think, August to try to get this done. I really think the window closes after August, September timeframe.
Are you going to propose a budget that balances?
Our focus on the budget is economic growth, jobs, and making sure that the deficit does not grow faster than the economy. So we stabilize the debt.
Right. But will you have an attempt to balance the budget by a certain? We know that Paul Ryan wants 10 years.
Yeah.
Will you say 20 years, 25 years? Are you going to have a target date?
We're in the process of looking at that. But our North Star, what will guide our budget decisions, is job growth. And if you go back and you look at the last 40-year period, we've only balanced the budget 4 times, 1998, 1999, 2000, 2001, during the Clinton years.
Right.
And that's because we had a higher revenue. So we're looking at ways that we can get us on a path, but we're not.
You do make the argument, though, that a balanced budget could lead to economic growth.
Yeah, but there are ways you can balance the budget that are smart, and there are ways that are not smart. And the way the Republicans want to do it is in a way that will violate our commitments to seniors and undermine some of the sources of economic growth, investment in our kids' education, infrastructure, science, and research.
All right. No target date, though. You will not.
Well, we're in the process of having a discussion right now. We're putting our budget together right now. We believe we can get a whole lot closer than the past because some of the measures we've taken will reduce the health care costs, the per capita health care costs. We've made great progress.
All right. I got to leave it there. I have a feeling we're going to have more of these conversations. Yeah. I say the window's September.
What's that?
You know, you guys always want vacation in August.
September.
You guys will take this. You'll push it in.
But we got to start now. I mean,
Chris Van Hollen.